Hey everybody, welcome to another tutorial. This time we're going to be going through the Zipur Product Manager, which is a tool I've created to allow easier management over your products in CE Phoenix. Before we get started, remember to subscribe below. If I see enough interest in this channel, I'll continue to add things to this channel. I do have some plans on adding some tutorials on how to code add-ons and modules and so forth. So I'm going to be working on that stuff over the next coming weeks, hopefully. But definitely subscribe so I know you're interested. All right, let's get started. So you can go to phoenixaddons.com, go under the paid add-ons. Zipur Product Manager is a paid add-on. Due to its size and the amount of time it takes to code something like this, I decided to charge for this particular project. So you can go to this page, read up about it. The way the licensing works on it is we charge a fee similar to what you'd pay for a utility like this in WordPress or something like that, where you're paying $80. You get the code for $80, and then you have a license for updates for 1 year. You are free to use it after your license expires. It won't stop working. However, you won't be able to get new code updates until you buy another license after it expires. So just so full disclosure on how it works. So features are all here. You can have a read through this. I'll just skip this because I'm going to be giving you a video tutorial on all of it. At the bottom here, you can see you can add it to your cart. Up here at the top, I guess, add to the cart, and then check out. Once you do that, you'll be able to go into your account and you'll be able to download the first time. I'll run you through, but once you have it installed, there's actually an auto updater built into it that allows you to update as long as your server will allow it to remotely connect to other servers. If not, you can always return to the My Account page, and it will then let you go into your downloads, and you'd be able to download it manually there and reinstall it by FTP or however you upload your files to your store. So let's get started. I've already got it pre-installed. Currently running version 1.17 on here. We'll do an upgrade to 1.2.0 shortly. I'll show you how that works. So basically, anybody that's used Phoenix or OS Commerce is familiar with using the regular product manager, where you go under fruit. This is just the demo data that's installed. We have apples and pears. Go in there, I can see the different products. I can edit those products. Everything's there. It's fully functional, does what you need it to. Manufacturers, you can maintain them there. Product attributes, you can assign them one by one in this area. So Zipur Product Manager, once it's installed, will show here. Now it's one utility that allows you to kind of do everything in one place. Let's start over at the settings page here. So these are all the settings specific to the product manager. This registration key is the key that was assigned to my domain at the time I purchased this, so it won't work for anybody else. But that gives me a fully licensed, which allows me to check for updates and do updates, which I'll show you in a second here. Normally with Phoenix, this is the state it would be in after a fresh install. The core product listing is basically the product listing as it comes out of the box with Phoenix. So it looks just like that. And it's fully functional, allows you to go in to your categories and you can add things to your cart, so on. If you disable that and replace it with the Zipur product listing, and remember to add the header and footer config modules, once you do that, it allows the utility to pull in a bunch of extra functionality, and this list is growing. Has grown significantly over the last couple of weeks, but I'm adding stuff all the time. I'm probably going to have to break this settings page out into a tab format just because it's turning out to be a fairly long scrolling list at this point. So product image gallery, if that's enabled, It will show you thumbnails if you have multiple images on a product. The listed ratings, that will show in your product list instead of just the product page. The ability to have plus and minus buttons on your products. Again, if that's enabled, that will show up. Product counts, I'll show you how this works. We'll circle back to each and every one of these. Showing sticky. If you mark your products as sticky, they will show up at the beginning of the list, kind of like setting them to a sort order of 0, but they are highlighted as well with some styling. If this is enabled, it will show products on special. They'll just be highlighted a little bit more. Column options, we allow for multiple. You can view your products in single, double, quadruple, or 6 products wide in the product listing. So we'll demo that as well. The admin search type, we added this just a little while ago. We had somebody that was using this in Germany that was having trouble with some German extra characters. So if you turn that on, it does require that you have the PHP MB string extension installed, but it will allow for better searching of characters outside the English language. Manufacturer, so by default it's using Ajax list lookup. So if you had 1,000 manufacturers and 10,000 categories and 1,000,000 products, you probably want to use Ajax lookup. It's going to basically allow you to search as you're typing. It will complete the list and allow you to find the manufacturers and categories you're looking for rather than loading them all into the DOM all at once. For smaller stores, most stores probably listing would be fine. Then it just loads on page load an entire list of all of those things without having to search them. So decimal places, you can change this to whatever you want, and it will show the number of decimal places on all of your pricing and so on. And again, that's just on the admin side in this tool. That does not affect the currency settings on the front end of your store. So depending on how you have those set up, it will act differently than what this will dictate. As far as requirements go, this would be when you're creating a new product or editing a product. It requires at minimal that you provide a name for your product and a price. If you didn't want to have to fill out a price, you could turn that off or on depending on what you want to have there. Usually recommend having a name at minimum. And then the database settings. So you'll notice these are all grayed out here. I'll show you an uninstall here right away, and we'll be able to override these. But currently, because these are already installed, you can't change the names of these columns once this is installed. It retains that, and these database fields will actually be created if they don't exist already, and then it will use them to populate the data. So you wouldn't want to come in here and just whimsically change these. So once they're set and you save it, they are locked in until you uninstall and reinstall. If you have existing, say up until now you've been using other tools to accomplish some of these things for you, and you have a sticky field and a sort order field and different fields, you can change this when you install to match whatever you need, and it will maintain that data going forward for you. So we allow you to create whatever columns you need or match them to whatever columns you have in your existing plugins that you've already installed. So maybe what I'll do here is I'll just do a quick uninstall so that we can see this. So when we uninstall it, confirm the uninstall is completed. It does not delete any files. I'll have to fix that error. That's a new one. So, normally when you come in, this is what you see. Everything's turned off, and there's no registration code in there. Again, it will be fully functional without a registration code. You can leave that blank, and it will not break it. However, you'll notice that there's no updates at the top. It doesn't let you download any new versions. So we're going to put that in there. At the bottom here, you'll notice I can now adjust these. So if the product sticky column was called sticky column, you could change that to whatever you want. Once we save this, it's going to lock those in like they were a minute ago. So I'm just going to leave everything as it is because that's how I'm set up. And we'll save this. It'll take a second because it validates the license code. So it calls out to our server to make sure everything's okay. So that's all done. So if we go back into settings, I'll then flip these back around. Okay, so we've got all the modules required enabled, and then we can go through and I will demo each of these one by one. I'm just going to turn these all to listing, set this to two decimals. Also, in all the number fields in here, I've basically forced it so you have to put in a number. It will not take other characters. It saves mistakes, so that should help. We'll leave that as it is, save that. So now if I go to return to the list, because I didn't have it set up as Ajax, it's just a drop down, so I can look for all products from Von Peacock. If I want to also look for anything that's fruit, apples, and pears, I can find that. Again, I can say all manufacturers. So you can narrow it down as deep as you want. If I want to search for something, everything with green in it, I can do that. It also retains your settings. So if I leave and come back, it remembers my last search. Everything is kind of kept in memory there. So that is handy if you're doing a lot of back and forth. I'll just zoom out a little bit here. If we were to change this so that we were looking only 5 items at a time, it's got pagination built into it, so you can see that we can go backwards and forwards, and depending on how many pages you have, you can navigate them all there. Again, it will remember that, so if you leave and come back and leave and come back, it's going to take you right back to where you were a minute ago. As far as turning them off and on, it's set up with Ajax. So basically, I'm just going to close this one here. So shiny red apples, I can see it's there. If I refresh, I can see it jumps around a little bit depending on the settings and what's turned off and on. So shiny red apples is there. If I wanted to turn shiny red apples off, I could simply just click that and refresh, and it's gone. It doesn't have to reload the page. You'll notice that this is just a quick on and off. It's doing that through Ajax, so it's just quick. So if I want to turn off a bunch of stuff, I can just quickly go through them. I don't have to wait for the page to reload, and then it's turned back on. If I want to make it sticky, you can actually toggle that just with this setting. However, currently, if we go to our settings, I can see that the sticky highlight is disabled. So even though we're making it sticky, it's not actually doing anything on the front end. So if I was to enable that and save it, and then go back and make shiny red apples sticky, then when I refresh this, I can see it's just highlighted. Now it automatically pushes it to the front. If I made pears so that it was also sticky, then maybe I make it so red apples isn't, and refresh, pears goes right to the beginning. So it's just sticky is a way of throwing it right to the beginning of the list so it stands out. You can change your sort orders. So if I switch this to sort and say search, I can see right now everything's sort order of 3. If I wanted to actually change this just so they're all different, I can simply 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see that it's changing colors. Once it's green, it's saved. So it's basically, if I search this again, I can see they're all updated. And if I was to refresh this, the orders changed based on that. So it's very easy just to tab one field to the next. There's no extra keys to hit. If you just got to click out of that field and it automatically saves it, and it becomes sort order 12. So very, very quick. If you want to change your pricing, same thing. You can go through here. If I want to change this to $6.50, set this to $3.90. Simple as that. If we go into our settings again, and if I turn on the listed ratings and save that, and then refresh, you'll notice that there's a ratings 5 stars that show up under shiny red apples because it has a rating. Without that turned on, the only way you could see the rating is if you were to come in here, you'd see the reviews and you could look at your reviews. So it's just a way of getting it into the list, something small. But if we take it back to our category here, and if we were to turn on some more functionality, so say we turned on the plus and minus and the product counts. So now if I refresh, I can see I've got a plus and minus button, and I've got the product counts there as well. So if there's stock, it will tell me how much is in stock. Now there's a configuration you can adjust on that. So it explains it here, but I'll just tell you what these are for. So basically the first number is what is the maximum number to show on the screen. So you'll notice that this says 12 plus in stock. The reason it says that is because this currently says 12. If I was to change this to 100 and save it and then refresh, well, I obviously have more than 100 in stock. I think there's 1,000 in there. So let's just up this to 2,000 so we can see exactly how many are there. 1,000 in stock. So that number would just keep descending as they were sold. 999, 998, and so on. But if I never want to show a number that big, you can limit this. So you could say the most we ever want to show is that there's 12 in stock, and it will then only show 12 in stock. The next number is at what point we want to highlight the color as being getting low in stock. So if it's, in this case, we can see over here there's 10 in stock, it's green. But if I wanted 10 in stock to show up, let's just do 11 in stock here and save that. That makes it yellow, so it just shows that it's getting low. The next option is what's considered to be really low. So let's just save for this. I've set that to 10 and refresh. I think I have to go one higher, so we're just going to set this to 11, 12, and 13. So then it shows up red once it gets below that. Now if we set a 0 at the end of this, and again this is explained in this hover, if you set 0 in there, then anything that has a 0 inventory will show as sold out. So we might have to navigate around here to try and find something. So there's something that's sold out. If I remove that 0 from there, then the sold out just goes away. So it's just a way of toggling out what you want there. So I'll set this back to something more reasonable. Okay, so that's enabled. Show on special, if you enable that, then when you load this, if anything's loaded on special, it's going to just put a banner above it. So if I was to go into the citrus fruit, I could see that oranges are currently on special and they just stand out. That's currently all that does. The column options, if I enable that, it's going to allow these to show up, which basically let you choose. You can look at them in single rows, as doubles, 4 wide, or 6 in stacks. And it will remember that setting. So if I was to navigate through here and go to something else, it recalls what your last setting was and will recover back to that layout. All of this could be adjusted further through CSS. I know with everybody's different store layouts, sometimes you run into problems there. So if you ever notice any bugs with any of the things I write, obviously just let me know. Okay, so I'm going to also enable the image gallery, and I don't believe I have any products. Okay, yeah, here's one with a bunch of images on it. These are all just junky images that I threw in there. So basically, it puts it into this gallery. It's just a simple gallery that you can click on to look at the different images. Again, CSS, I believe I just, in this particular default theme, it's got a minimum width and that of 100%, and that's why it's showing up like that. Obviously I would recommend that all the images that you're uploading for your products are typically using the same overall size and and scale to make your store look as good as possible. If you're using all kinds of variable images, it's tough to make this look, fantastic. But a little bit of CSS goes a long way. We can definitely adjust it depending on each install. All you gotta do is reach out and let me know you're struggling with it if you are, and I will assist you in getting something that suits your store a little bit better. Okay, so let's get into editing products here. So if we create a new product, pulls it up here. Again, I'm just going to zoom it back in it here. So status, in stock, out of stock. I'm going to say I've got 550 of these. I'll say the manufacturer is Von Peacock. Model will say TMP Apple. Now, image directory, you can choose from existing directories that are already in your image tree, or you can actually, if you want to leave them right in the root of images, that's fine. But if it's a huge store, you might want to do something like this, and then it will create the apples folder. It will set the image directory to images apples, and it will upload your images into the images apples and connect everything together. Again, it comes down to how you want to manage your information. I'm just going to leave it as the default. Whether it's sticky or not, sort order, if there's a reorder reference, these are also called SKUs. So you can change this in the language file, whatever references you would use these for. Currently, they're not tied into the front end anywhere, but that could easily be done. Reorder quantity, cost, all that. I'm just basically going to put in a price. We'll put in $6.25. You can put in your tax class and it'll automatically calculate in real time. It doesn't have to reload the page or anything. If I was to go in here and change this to $6.80, it's automatically going to change everything. If we go to language specific, so we'll put in a product name and we'll call this temp apples, and here we could put in some info on our apples, and you can use the WYSIWYG in here. So if you wanted to get creative, you can. It supports quite a bit of layout functionality. Down here you can put in a English product URL if you want. SEO title, SEO description, keywords, you can put all that in there. So if we did put something in here, so let's say we had some product.com/something, okay, and then we were to go in and put in a title and temp apples, oops, and some SEO stuff here, and apples temp red, and so on. So now if we go to French, we could do all that again in French, or just for reference, we can click this copy button I put over here, which just copies it all in. Lets you change it, of course, but it's good for reference. It makes it really simple, and it will just copy over your default language into the other languages and allow you to manipulate them without having to jump back and forth and figure out what you want to say. Product images, you can't do anything with that until we click the save button. There are a number of tabs that are going to show up as soon as I click save. So we will click save, and boom, we're saved. If I was to go back to our product list, I would see that our temp apples are there. And if I was to go back into where we were a second ago, I can still see all of our language specific stuff is there. Product images, we can now drag and drop our images up there. Attributes, we can add those. Categories, if there were any reviews on this product, we could see them here. I plan on making it so that you can also approve them there. That's not done yet. And then product statistics, as you sell your product, there's a number of reports here that will be available for you for that. So for product images, I'll just demo that. So I have some Apple products here, or Apple images here. So let's just say we want to upload all of these and start upload. So now we've got our images. didn't like one of them. I won't bother figuring out why. Must be a file extension or something. So you'll notice the primary image is set to this one. We can set this as our primary or that as our primary. We can delete any of these if we want. It's very handy. You can even resort them. Again, if I was to go back here and add in, not sure why that one didn't load the first time. But we can actually reorganize them and change their sort order as well, just by dragging and dropping them, which is handy for layout, right? It'll depend on how you want them to be displayed in your slideshow. So if we go to attributes, we can click new attribute. It automatically pops up in line. We can choose box size, box of 24, extra $16, and add the attribute. Now we can also edit that. So if I didn't mean to type in 16, I meant to type in $1.60, I could save that and it would automatically change it. You can also create new attributes on the fly. So say there was a box size, however, it's a box of 6 and I don't have 6 as an option. I can actually say new attribute option. And I could say 6 is going to be the value. And the price is going to be, we'll say $1. So there I've got my, I should have actually left it as box size for the other thing. That's why that wasn't making sense. So let's just go back there. We created an entirely new attribute option. I just want a new value. So kind of messed that up. So if I was to choose box size and say new attribute value and put in 6 and then put in an extra $1, now I have a box size of 6. And if I was to go add another attribute, I would have 6 in my options because I've now created that. What I've now done is made it so that if I go under add attribute, I have this new option 6, which I don't really care for. So it does kind of leap ahead to what I was going to show you next. If we had a new option, say it was, for apples, fresh. And I said, yes. Forgive me, I'm not going to transcribe everything to French. Okay, so I have fresh and I have yes. I could then go in and I could say fresh and add an attribute version of no. And maybe you take $1 off for those, I don't know. So now I've got an option of $1 more, $1 less, depending if they're fresh or not. Again, not the best example, but it does kind of show you can create those all on the fly without having to leave and go over to your product attributes to maintain that information. If I was to go under categories, you can go new category link. I could link this under whatever I want. So I'm going to say apples and pears, add to category. It's now in that category. If I had another category to add it to, citrus fruit, I could do that. You could also remove that. All done from one place. If we go back to here, we can actually clone a product. So say I had a very similar type of apple. I don't want to start all over again. I could call this, say this is a min apple. Actually, sorry, gotta clone this. So to proceed with the clone, you have to type clone there just to make sure that that's what you're wanting to do. It'll refresh and now we're on our cloned apple. If I was to go back to my list, I can see I have a clone apple up here and I have my temp apple down here. This clone is what we just created. So if I was to go back in here and change this, we could call this min apple. And again, adjust this to whatever we want. It does copy across everything, so you're going to want to go through and rename everything. Product images, it's going to copy those as well, so maybe we make this one so it stands out as red. You can delete these other ones if they're not required. Save the changes, return to the list. Very easy to maintain. If we go to our categories, here we've got our different categories. We can edit those the same way, create a new category the same way. If I just edit one of these just to show you. Language specific, again, shows the same stuff. It will also show the copy button here when you create a new category. Category images, there is only one, so there is no set primary. If you delete this file, you can then re-upload a new one. You can delete your products and categories from within the items, or you can delete your products from the list. That's something I didn't cover. So say we wanted to get rid of this clone, we could delete that. Just type delete in here and click delete product now, and it would delete that. So I'm just going to go back to the front end here. So here's our temp apples. Again, it's an image problem. That's just CSS again to fix that. So here I can see our fresh yes or no. Box size, I can choose what I want there. Now you can add to cart, and it adds your 4 there. Obviously I had something in the cart prior to doing the demo. So again, if I was to go back, citrus fruit, if it's something that doesn't have attributes, you can do it right from here. So I can say I want 4 limes, add, and they're immediately into my basket. However, if you are to try and get something that does have attributes, you have to go into the product first. If you try to add them to your cart first, it forces you to go pick your attributes, as it should, and then adds them that way. There are a significant number of updates I plan on adding to this utility. Again, it comes down to how much interest there is in it. I have a lot of utilities I do plan on building. I've got a menu manager I'm looking at building. That's pretty cool. Also going to do a bunch of videos on how to create hooks, how to create mods, how to adjust certain things. They'll be much shorter than these videos. If you have any requests, leave it in the notes below or in the comments. Definitely let me know what you're interested in seeing, and I'll see what I can do. Don't forget to subscribe. Again, I'm just going to show you the check for updates here. So currently we're running version 1.1.7. If I check for updates, it will probably come back and tell you update available, tell you the version number that is available. It shows you the version that you have installed, and then you can go through the changelog and decide how cautious you want to be to update. Typically, I'm very careful when I'm writing these updates. I try not to blow anything up. If you're in any way customizing my code or doing anything with the code, then you might want to not manually update. You might want to go to the website, download it, and then make your alterations to the code before you place it. But if you're just using the code as I'm providing it, it should be as easy as saying update available version. It will then download it directly, update it. It will take you to the settings page and do a quick save, just because there are features that are added and whatnot, and that's a quick way to get those features into the database. So I always take it to the settings page and do a quick save. After that, you can return to the list and you're in the new version, and you can check out the new features. If ever you want to check out the changelog, you can just check for updates, do changelog, and it will show you what's there. So I'm just looking here to see if there's anything else. I think we're good. So again, if you could subscribe to the channel, leave some comments below and let me know what you think. Also, let me know if you're interested in seeing anything specific. It could be anything Phoenix related. If I get enough requests, I'll definitely keep going that route. Right now, I don't have too many people subscribing to this, so I'll do what I can to add some more content and see if I can't get people interested, and we'll go from there. Thanks for tuning in.